Hello, my Teaserking family. The sound test worked fine. Quick hello to Daria. All right, sorry about that. So, I don't know if I'll get anybody, but I don't care. It's a video too, so you can watch it later. Well, the pool's open till 1:30 today, so I decided to make it a normal day. I went there at 10 and just finished. I have some leftover steak, and then I can make some chicken and all the yummy stuff Herman Munster would eat. All right. If I don't get anybody, I'll be short. So I wanted to go over, let's go over the bowls as we see them now. So I know a couple have already started. Now, Wisconsin's up 7-0. This is why it's hard to bet it. Tennessee 5.5, 36.5. Which should be a low scoring game. Oregon 17.5, 70.5. It's a very dangerous number if you're going over 70.5 today. Be warned. Oregon's got a good defense. I don't know if they're playing or they're not. Michigan 2.5. I would love to meet people betting on Michigan at one laying. It's not that you're betting Michigan. You're betting Michigan and you're laying 2.5. You're betting it up to 2. Okay, they're favorite over Alabama. Do you understand? They're not that good. Do you understand? I'd love to. I'll tell anybody who wants to. I'll take Alabama and 2.5. That's our free pick. 7.5 Alabama. And Texas, Washington, Texas at 3.5, down from 4.5, and 62.5. It's been 62 the whole time. So I have one lot going today, and free pick is Alabama. Matchup wise, it's just all Alabama. They're the 18 with an 18 defense. Michigan's an 18 with a 10 defense. Oh, but by the way, Michigan played the likes of Nebraska, Rutgers, Boston College. Oh, and by the way, Alabama played Texas, Georgia, LSU, Ole Miss, Old Mississippi State. So you can't, this is why you don't look at the numbers. This is the same thing I've been talking about in the pros. Miami looks like they have a 20 defense, played Baltimore, and they put up a 80 on them. The same thing with the Lions. I think it's the same team with most of these teams. They beat the weak teams and look good. Then they play the strong teams that get beat. And is there even strong teams? I think besides Frisco and Baltimore, Miami and Buffalo are not strong. Kansas City, good defense. NFC, you got Frisco, Philly's not strong. Their defense fell apart. Dallas is not strong. Detroit's not strong. I don't. Maybe the Rams are pretty good. Anyway, this will be curious to see what other teams think of Detroit. The Rams will have a choice if they want to play Detroit or I guess it would be Green Bay because the Rams are the second. So the first wild card is going to bet Tampa Bay. Either Philly or Dallas will get Tampa. That leaves the second one gets Detroit. And the third one's going to get Dallas or Philly, whoever wins the title. And to me, it's like the Rams are licking their chops if it's Philly. If they get Philly, they would rather play Philly than Detroit, I'm sure. But it'll show you that how much they think of Detroit. Just a second. So I stopped for a pizza on the way home, so I won't eat my pita. I don't have too much carbs. I don't really want the pizza, but I'm just going to have a few pieces. I wish you could get 2 pieces. I really don't want a whole pizza. But I can take it and throw it out. So you got Alabama at 5 o'clock. It's now 12:30. And then after that, it's Texas, Washington. All right. I want to read the NFL playoff dynamics before we do anything else. NFL playoff picture. Well, first, let's review yesterday, then we'll go through the picture. I'm so excited. I went 12-1 this weekend. I'm so excited. What a week I had. So Cleveland and the Jets, I got Cleveland -1. Cleveland wins 37-20. Okay, I hit a Thursday night game. I'm all happy. Then we get Detroit, Dallas. I pull that game out. And I watched the highlights of it because I didn't see the whole game. And in the first half, Dak throws his interception at the 20. And then they hit CeeDee Lamb, and he fumbles it through the end zone. So that's 1 touchdown. That's at least 10 points I lost, which makes sense because I couldn't believe they were only score at 7. Detroit, 4th and goal at the 5, and the idiot doesn't kick a field goal. I honestly don't understand the Lion coach. Does he understand what coaching is, first of all? When you get a chance for points in a big game like this, a game that you need against an opponent like Dallas, you take them. Yeah, I was listening on the radio on the way home from swimming. The guy will talk about with a percentage of you getting the 4th down, or the 2-point conversion. When it was at the 2, he gives a percentage, and then at the 7, he doesn't know what the percentage is. And the problem is he's taking an overall macro look at it, which is the whole population. What you got to do is look at it. How successful are you against Dallas or Baltimore or San Francisco or Washington and Arizona and the Giants? So it's all lumped together. Well, it can't be lumped together because It's got to be specific. You're never going to pick it up against Dallas, Frisco, Baltimore, you know, Kansas City, Cincinnati, Cleveland. I mean, forget it. You're not picking up anything against those teams. So you got to look at the team you're playing, not just the broad brush. And so they don't kick the field goal, but CeeDee Lamb fumbles out of bounds. So give Dallas 27 and give Detroit 22 here, or who knows what it would have been. And then he doesn't. So I don't get. Okay, you call the play. It's the stupidest play I've ever seen when you could run the Dave Casper play, right? Just drag the tight end across after he pretends he's blocking and goes across, and he's always wide open. So why don't you run that play? Then you don't have to worry about the numbers. So now you're taking into account a lot of bullshit. Now you're taking into account that the refs don't fuck it up because you're telling them number 68 is going to catch the ball, not number 70. They get number 70. And number 70 or 68 was on the end of the line. He couldn't have caught the ball anyway. So they're saying it's a bad play by the ref, and it's not because the guy wasn't eligible because the wide receiver covered him up. So even if he does that, the wide receiver's still covering him up. Well, why are you going to this play? Right? And even more, why are you going for two? Kick the damn extra point and move on. And, it's a close game. I don't know if a tie helps you more or not, but it's a close game. Just kick the extra point. And take your chance in overtime. See, I love when they go for fourth down and it's like they assume they're going to make it. Or when they go for the 2-point conversions, they just, we're going to make it. No, you're not. I mean, realistically, they're not thinking it through. They're not saying, well, if we score, we win, but if we don't get it, we lose. And do I want to take that chance? No. You go and you tie it. Be happy you scored. Be happy they played the worst prevent defense in the world. Anyway, so I have Dallas plus 1.5 in 2 teasers. We win 20-19, so I win 21.5-19. New England Buffalo, I have the Buffalo over. That was ridiculous over at 40. I was over early in the third quarter. I needed 34. It was I think 20-14 at half or early third quarter, and it easily went over. See there, I might have taken Buffalo, but Buffalo didn't cover. They laid 8. They didn't cover to New England. And at 27, 48. I would have went over unless there was a really high, because Buffalo's defense isn't that good, but their offense is struggling. But still, at a 40, I'm going over all day. That's when Vegas gives me a 40 because they're including in New England Mac Jones, who's not playing. Zappi's playing. Zappi gets me 21. Well, I think I got a kick return or something. But Jones wouldn't have scored on me, right? Buffalo. I would have taken Buffalo if it was Jones because they would have won 27-0. Atlanta and the Bears, I go over 37. Again, a very low over for the Bears. They are an over team. 37-17, a 54. I'm over 31. I am over. I thought I saw a score of like 24-7 at halftime, and I was there. I just, okay, one more point. Oakland and Indy, my first lock, I took Oakland under 40, not 4, so it was under 50. In the whole game, it's like 10-3 and 10-7 and 13, and Indy's kicking field goals. And with 2 seconds left, it's 23-13, and Oakland scores, with no time left for 43. I'm still under 50. I never had a problem in that game. So lock number 1 wins. Lock number 2 wins. The Rams plus 1.5 against the Giants. And what was the strangest game? The Rams are dominating the game. right? The Williams scores 3 touchdowns. Cooper Kupp gets 1. Stafford throws a few interceptions. He thought he was on the Lions again. And the Giants score on a punt return of 85 yards and an 85-yard touchdown reception. That's how they came in. I missed 2 extra points where I should have been up 28 to 19. I missed, instead of going up 27-20, I missed the extra point. The Giants get it, and they miss the extra point, and then they go for 2 at the end. It's 26-25. And Taylor throws it in the ground, and Barkley's going to walk in for the 2-pointer. I might have had a little bit of time for a field goal. I don't know, with Stafford maybe. But still, 26-25. The Rams win. It should never have been that close to the Giants. Again, they switched to Taylor. And like Zappy, you got to watch the quarterbacks. He gave you more points. So lock number 2, the Rams win. Lock number 3, and your free play. Philadelphia over 48, down to 42. They play a 66, and I warned you, a 28 defense and a 27 defense is going to score a lot more than 42, and they did. And that was another one that I think by halftime, I saw like a 21-7, and then it went like 28. I think it was 28-14. It was 42 in the third quarter. And then Arizona scores with 5 seconds left to win the game. Again, the defense sucks in that. But so you recognize they're an over team. They score a lot. Arizona shouldn't score 35 points. But they did because Philly's defense is so bad. Kyler Murray was all over the place. I don't know what's going on in Philly. If it's the head coach, I mean, Matt Patricia, this is the best you can find for a defensive coordinator. So that's lock number 3. Oakland under, the Rams, Philly over. Next play, New Orleans getting 8.5 or 9 from Tampa Bay, wins the game outright. 23-13. I knew it would be a tight game. It would be a close game. And take the dog. It's a playoff game. I did. Frisco, Washington. Here's my one loser. I play the game over 42 because I'm looking at this 35 defense. I go, well, Frisco's going to score 40. I need something from Washington, which I got. And there's 5 minutes left, and Frisco's knocking on the door. Third and goal at the 1. They run it. The guy doesn't get anywhere. 4th and goal at the 1. They run it again. The guy doesn't score. I couldn't believe it. So it should have been 34-10, which would have been a 44, which would have been over, which would have been 13-0. So there's always one game that doesn't go, and I think I had played it when Brissett was playing, and see again the quarterback switch with Brissett. They're going to score more. Howell comes in and he sucks and his interceptions. I don't know what they see in Howell. I don't know why he's in the league. He's way over his head. So that's my only loser. I don't play Jacksonville, Carolina. I know Carolina's 15-0 against the number in a teaser this year. Make that 16-0. Jacksonville wins 26-0. Beathard was in versus Young. Young threw for 130 yards. He's ready for pro football. Oh my God, Carolina's so fucked. I guess the Bears get Carolina's pick because they traded. The Bears had the number 1 last year, so they traded it to Carolina. So I guess they get their pick this year, which is the number 1. So what do you do? Do you stick with Fields? Do you go get Caleb or Bo Nix or Penix? Now they've been playing better with Fields, amazingly enough. So That's the question. Are you better with Fields or Caleb or Penix or Bo Nix or Hartman? I would take any of the four over Fields. I just think he's very limited, but we'll see. But they get the one pick, which makes sense because Carolina, what are they going to do? They're going to get rid of Young, which they should. He's worse than Fields. So very interesting. Miami, Baltimore should have been a lock, would have been a lock, but I was waiting on the injuries between Waddle being out and then Mozart was out. If they played, I was going to lock the over at 46 and go over 40, which Baltimore did by halftime. But because they were out, I then double analyzed the game, and I said, you know what? If those guys are out, as good as Baltimore looks, I'm just going to take Baltimore to win it. And so I took Baltimore real strong in 3 teasers, and they win 56-19. There was never a question of taking Miami. Never going to happen. Miami doesn't win these games. They'll get killed by Buffalo next week. Houston, Tennessee, I lay away from because it's Levis and Stroud, which turns into Tannehill. It's Stroud, and I just leave it alone. Houston wins 26-3. Houston has a pretty good defense once in a while. Tennessee, I can't understand them. I can't get a feel. They're kind of a weak team, pretty good defense, and looks like apparently no offense. With Derrick Henry, I don't know how you cannot have offense. Pitt, Seattle, I redo the numbers, and I see Seattle's got a 28 defense. Seattle's 3.5, 4-point favorites. Pitt must win the game. They look good against Cincinnati. So as a late teaser, I had Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh get a 9.5. They win the game 30-23. And I knew I was on fire then that I was going to win the rest. Denver, San Diego, I don't play because stick against Stidham. I mentioned taking the under. I didn't play it. Denver wins 16-9, and I don't know how you could play it. How can you trust Stidham? And you can't trust Stick. So Russell Wilson and Herbert, I would have probably bet it over, but in this situation, so that's why the quarterbacks measure. So I don't play it. Lock number 4, Cincinnati, KC. I got Kansas City under 51. And I see 17-13 at the half, and I'm shitting in my pants going, shit, they're scoring too many points. And then I don't check the game. I'm watching the other game. I'm watching the Pitt-Seattle game. And then I check at the end, and it's 25-17. So Cincinnati didn't score in the second half, and KC got 4 field goals. They kept getting down close, and then they can't run. They can't throw. They look pretty sick. 25-17 of 42. I really got scared because Chase played. I was kind of banking that Chase wasn't going to play. Chase played. It was a playoff game for Cincinnati, but I think when Pitt won, now they were on at the same time, but when Pitt won, then it was all over for Cincinnati. But that really didn't matter. So 25-17, Kansas City. 42, I'm under 51. 4 locks, 4 winners. And the last but not least, Green Bay, Minnesota. I got Green Bay because they're playing Hall. And I go, fuck Hall. Who's Hall? Yeah, I know you went to BYU. And I got Love, and then I see Jones is playing, and I go, okay, it'll probably be – I can't see Hall blowing out Green Bay. Love's pretty good. A couple of my Georgia guys are playing. Adam Jones is playing. Okay, take Green Bay. I don't expect it. I had them winning 24-23. Close game, take the dog. It's a playoff game, and they win 33-10. So I killed it, yes. So the only losers, the Niners – over 42, and they played at 37, and they had the ball at the 1. And that's what you find in all these games. They go for it, they don't make it. There's way too many 4th down crap with these guys. The Lions, they go for it on 4th down twice, didn't make it. Go for a 2-point conversion. Okay, I get the first time, and I was happy because I had Dallas in 1.5, and I go, perfect. No overtime. If they hit it, I win because then they're up 1. And if they miss it, I win because then Dallas is up 1. So, but then when they get the penalty, and now it's at the 7, I'm expecting them to kick the extra point. That was stupidity to go for it. 4th and goal to 7 against Dallas. The odds on you getting it are 1 in 100. And you want to play those odds, though. You're not a gambler. You're a moron. And I don't know why people think Detroit's coach is good. He's really an idiot. He doesn't understand ball control. He doesn't understand anything. And I don't find where he's got a football brain. And it just, they beat the bad teams. Oh, they beat Carolina and Atlanta. Oh my God. And they beat Tampa. And oh, look, they beat Green Bay once and Chicago once. They beat Oakland when they were, still with the old coach. They didn't really beat anybody. They get to Baltimore, they lose by 100. They lose to Seattle. They lose to Green Bay. They lose to Chicago. In a league where there's only maybe 5. If I go through my thing, let's say Cleveland's a good team. Buffalo, we'll call them a good team. Miami, they're not really. They don't have a defense. Philly, another. Are they really a good team? Kansas City, more of an under team, but okay. The Rams, they're getting better. The Niners are an A team. Dallas, kind of an A or a B, and then Baltimore is probably them and Frisco. That's it. And so you got 6, 7 good teams. The rest suck. So to do what the Lions did in this league, I mean, there's so many W and Z teams. Z team Carolina, Z team Washington, Z team Arizona, Z team the Giants, Z team the Jets, Z team Tennessee. I mean, you got 6 Z teams in a league that you shouldn't have any. All right, so that's going to bring us to, let's look at this playoff scenario. All right, so the AFC playoff picture. Baltimore is the 1 seed. Miami or Buffalo will be the 2. Kansas City is the 3. Jacksonville or the winner of the Indy-Houston game is the 4th, depending if Jacksonville wins or loses to Tennessee. Cleveland's in at 11 wins. But even though Buffalo's 10-6, they're not in because if they lose, they're 10-7. Indy or Houston's going to go to 10-7. They play each other, and then Pittsburgh is the key. If they go 10-7, now they play Baltimore, and does Baltimore going to play? Baltimore should play because if they sit and then they get the bye, they're going to lose the first round. Because every team that does that loses the first round because they're all fucked up now. They're all out of kilter. They've lost their timing. It's football. It's hard enough when you go to London or Germany, you lose your timing and everything. But this is not good. So let's go through this. Okay, we'll go through it like this. So Baltimore is locked in at the 1 seed. Cleveland's locked at 5. Okay. Miami's loss opens the door for the Bills to win the AFC East with the home win, with a home triumph. I love these words. Miami simply needs to win at home to avoid the wild card chaos. A loss would drop the Dolphins to the number 6 seed if they finish on the same record as the Browns. So if they both go 12-6. Cleveland plays a Cincinnati team eliminated from postseason. And then it says, so it should pick up a win there. Oh, really? You think it works like that? So Cleveland doesn't care. The Minnesota, well, we'll get to that in a minute. So the Buffalo Miami game is really a playoff game. Buffalo must win it or they could be out of the playoffs. Miami, they're in the playoffs, but it's the difference between being the 2 seed and the 6 seed, a wild card on the road. All right, so Cleveland doesn't really need it. They're locked in at the 5. Man, this is confusing. I don't like the way they wrote it. All right, this is better. Dolphins clinch the playoff berth will win. Okay, the Chiefs are locked into the 3 seed, so they don't need the game with San Diego. The Jags need to win. They own the tiebreaker over the Colts in Houston, and they're all like 9-7 right now. So if the Jaguars lose, whoever wins Houston and Texas, the Houston Indy game. So the Houston Indy game is a playoff game. That's a must-win game. The Miami Buffalo, they both need the game, which is important. But it doesn't say if the Jaguars lose. Well, they got to win anyway. I'm not going to worry about it if they lose. They have to win. The Bills will win the AFC East if they beat the Dolphins next week. This isn't a very good analysis. Colts, big showdown with the Texans, big showdown. Steelers may benefit from playing a Ravens team that resting its starters in Week 18. If they are, that's a big if. So Pittsburgh must win. And then Denver, Cincinnati, Oakland, the Jets, the Titans, San Diego, and Pitt are mathematically eliminated. All right, Green Bay clinches a wild card with a win. It ain't going to be easy against the Bears. The Vikings clinch a wild card with a win, a Packers loss, a Saints loss, and a Seahawks loss. So we're the Vikings, they're Detroit. So they have to play to win, but they really figure they have no chance. The Cowboys clinch the NFC East with a win or an Eagles loss. So Dallas has to beat Washington. And so Philly has to play. If Dallas loses, then they get in. Tampa Bay clinched the NFC South with the win. So where's Tampa Bay? So Tampa Bay must win, which makes New Orleans, Atlanta must win in case Tampa loses. The Saints Falcon winner clinches the NFC South with the Tampa loss. So they're going to play. The Dolphins Bills winner clinches the AFC East, which we know. The Jaguars clinch the South with the win. The Colts Texas winner clinches a playoff berth. Okay, so there's even more. Houston, Indy are playing for a playoff berth. So this is a real big game. And then if Jacksonville loses, they win the division. If Jacksonville wins, they get the other wild card. The Steelers clinch a wild card with a win in either a Bills or Jaguar loss. So what they're saying is that the Jaguars lose, whoever wins Houston Indy wins the division, and the other one now loses, and then Pitt wins, they get the 10 wins. So what'll happen is Jacksonville won't get the 10. The loser of the Indy Houston doesn't get the 10. They have to win and either a Bills or Jaguars. So they got to force one of the wild cards out. So Pitt must win. So the Steelers will stick with Mason Rudolph, Stidham at Denver, Puka Nukem needs 29 yards. Yeah. Nick Sirianni, we've got to stick together. Yeah. Oh, okay. That ain't going to happen. Mike McDaniel, not worried about Dolphins bouncing back from Ravens loss. They're not going to beat Buffalo. NFL needs to make a swift and strong statement regarding David Tepper. I don't know who that is. Okay. So that's pretty much the playoffs. So KC is in. Well, Seattle needs to win, don't they? Yeah, the Seattle still can get in. And New Orleans, which we got, Minnesota, and Falcons can only win the South if New Orleans, if Tampa loses to New Orleans. Tampa's not losing to Carolina. That's not going to happen. Where's Seattle? Well, I guess Seattle can't clinch. Wild card berth is still in play, so I guess if Green Bay loses to the Bears, Seattle beats Arizona. I heard somebody say today Arizona's tanking. I'm going, teams that tank do not beat Philadelphia 35-31. If they were really tanking, they would have just lost the game 31-28. Oh, God, they look good. Teams that are tanking do not come from behind and get the win. So I love this tanking bullshit. How do they fucking know if they're tanking? Happy New Year, Greg and John. I don't buy it at all, this tanking. That means that the players aren't trying. Now, I think you have more tanking in college than at the pros, because in college, you see all this tanking in the bowl games going on. Although the problem is there's no draft picks. So I really don't know why they're tanking. Like, why is Mayfield why is the Tennessee quarterback not playing? Not Mayfield, but the other. Makes no sense. All right, so Cleveland, Cincinnati games meaningless. Mini Detroit. Well, they've clinched the North, but they can get the 2 seed if Dallas and Philly lose. Okay. Minnesota can win, and then they need a lot of help. Green Bay wins, and I think they're in. What does it say? Packers will win a wild card if they beat the Bears on Sunday. So if they lose, then the Seahawks can win. Jacksonville wins to win the division. A loss, and they're probably out. Houston Indies, a playoff game. Denver and Oakland are both disqualified. Buffalo, Miami's a playoff game. The Jets, New England, nobody cares. Atlanta, New Orleans. They're hoping Tampa loses to win the division. Philly is trying to win their division and get the 2 seed, as is Dallas over Washington. Seattle must win and then hope Green Bay loses. KC's in. The Rams, what are the Rams? They clinched a playoff berth. I think the Rams have to win. They're in the playoffs. I'm not sure. The Niners clinched the 1 seed, so this will be interesting. Washington's out. Carolina's out. Baltimore's clinched the 1 seed. So now if I'm Baltimore and Frisco, I'm playing my starters the first half. They could have just as easily got hurt yesterday as next week. Or if I sit them the whole game and I don't get them ready, and then they're off the next week, I'm going to lose the third week. Peyton Manning always is. Tony Dungy, the moron he is, always, they would rest so nobody would get hurt, and they always lost the first round of the playoffs. So even though nobody got hurt, nobody could play because you fucked up their timing. And you did it like 3 or 4 times. Hell, there was one time they were undefeated and he sits them out. I'm sure that went over great in the locker room. Okay, with that said, let's make our lines before I go get the real lines. Cleveland, Cincinnati. Chase is. I'm going to say Cleveland -4 if this is a normal Sunday. Mini Detroit -7. Chicago, Green Bay -7. Jacksonville, Tennessee, Jacksonville -4. Houston, Indy -3 at home. Denver, Oakland -3. Buffalo, Miami -4, but I love Buffalo. See, that's what the spread should be. We'll see what the real spread is. The Jets in New England by 3 with Zappe. Atlanta, New Orleans by 3 at home. Philly and the Giants, Philly -10 in a must win, even though I think that's way high. It's what I think the line will be, not what the line should be. Well, maybe it should be. What it should be is Philly -7. What it probably will be is 10. Arizona, Seattle -4. KC, San Diego, what the hell happens here? KC -3. I assume they play. They don't really need it. The Rams and the Niners -7, unless they sit everybody. Dallas, Washington, Dallas -14. Tampa Bay, Carolina, Tampa Bay -10. Pittsburgh, Baltimore. In a normal week, it'd be Baltimore -7. This week might be different. Let's check it out. We won't go through injuries. It's too early in the week. All right, week 18. All right. And they start with 1-6. Is that Saturday? They're actually having Saturday games. So Pitt, Baltimore, Pitt's -3.5. And 37.5. And the Houston Indy game is Saturday. And Indy's only 1.5, not 3, and 47.5. Now we go to Sunday at 1:00, 15 game. Pittsburgh's at 4:30. So it's 4:30, 8:15, and then we get to Sunday. New Orleans 3.5 and 42. And then we get to the meaningless game. Cincinnati's -4.5, 38.5. New England 2.5, 30.5. 30.5. Wow, that could be a lock over, right? 30.5. The Jets have Simeon, I believe, unless he's not quartering, and Zappe. Where are you getting 30.5 for? That's way too low. Jacksonville, 3.5, 40.5. All right. Detroit, 4.5, 45. Little low. They're still playing for the 2 seed. I mean, let's see when Dallas Philly is. Tampa Bay, 637.5. That is a very low number. They are playing Carolina, right? They have to win the game. 6. Thank you. All right, now we get to the 4:30 games. Dallas is 13.5. Just what I said. I said 14. The Niners are 4.5. 42. This is really strange. Philly's only 5.5 and 41. Wow. Green Bay 3 and 40. Look at Green Bay's in a must-win game, and they're only a 3-point favorite over the Bears. All right. Seattle 3, 47.5. Must win for them. Oakland 2.5, 37.5. Against Denver. San Diego is 1.5, 35.5 over Kansas City. I'm not sure Mahomes is going to sit out. That's not normally their MO. And then the 8:00 game is the Miami Buffalo. Buffalo is a 3-point favorite and a 50. Very interesting. That shows you what they think of Miami. They're making now. Miami has to win. They're in the playoffs. If they lose as a wild card team, but to win the division, they have to win, and they're making them a 3-point dog to Buffalo. Wow. So right off the bat, Detroit 4.5 needs it for the 2 seed. They're at home. Buffalo or Minnesota. We'll have to see who their quarterback is. Very interesting. We got Green Bay in a must win is only 3 over the Bears. I was hoping to get more because I like the Bears in the game. Jacksonville 4 over Tennessee. Jacksonville must win, but their quarterback's probably going to be C.J. Beathard going against Tennessee. At Tennessee, I think Tennessee's going to win that game. Houston, Indy. I mean, that's a playoff game. Indy's only a 1.5-point favorite in the game. I assume Stroud and Minshew. That's really interesting. Very low, too. Denver, Oakland's meaningless. Oakland's 2.5. Over under 37.5. See, I think I'm more comfortable betting that game than I am betting, let's say, the Rams and the Niners or Pittsburgh, Baltimore. Because I don't know what's going to go on with Pittsburgh, Baltimore, and the Niners. Are they going to play or not? Or Kansas City? But in the Jet New England game or the Denver Oakland, I know what I'm getting, and I know they're going to play. Isn't it weird? The teams that are out of it, they play, and the teams that are in the playoffs are worried about getting hurt and resting. Fascinating. All right, Buffalo, Miami, Buffalo 3. It's a doer. See, but Buffalo can actually, well, this is a night game. They'll know by the night if they need to win or not, depending on what happens with, I guess, well, Pitt's Saturday. So Jacksonville, Houston, and Indy doesn't matter about Pitt. I think Buffalo does. Yeah, if Pitt wins, Buffalo has to win. If Pitt loses, then Buffalo has to. Um, if Pitt loses, Buffalo's in. If Pitt wins, I think Buffalo's in. Well, it could still be with this Houston Indy mess and this Jacksonville. I'll have to read that. That was a pretty sketchy thing there. So that's a playoff. So I don't know. We got to see what's going on. There's injuries. Tagovailoa got hurt in the game yesterday, and Mozart didn't play, and Waddle didn't play. They've clinched a playoff spot, but not the division and the 2 seed. So this is very interesting. New England 2.5 over the Jets. Must win. Zappy Simeon. So this doesn't mean anything, but both teams will play. Atlanta, New Orleans, this is a playoff game. Both teams will play. Heineken against Carr. Philly and the Giants. Philly must win to win the division and try to get the 2 seed. So Philly's going to play. Seattle, Arizona, I think Seattle's got to play depending on what happens with Green Bay. So we'll see there. KC, San Diego. Now, KC's clinched, and they'll be the 3 seed no matter what. And do they play? San Diego's favored. I don't know that San Diego. Well, who's going to quarterback? Is Mahomes not going to quarterback? KC, San Diego. And you got the Rams and the Niners. The Niners are in as the 1 seed. The Rams are in, but are they the 6 or 7 seed? Supposedly, they can control their destiny. So, in other words, would they rather play? Would they rather play the? Well, they'll be the 6th or 7th seed. The 7th seed's going to get the 3 seed. No, the 2 seed. So do they want to play Dallas or Philly? Or do they want to play the Lions? And I think they'd rather play Philly with that defense. But the way LA played yesterday, I'm not sure. I think they want to win. Dallas against Washington, they must win. Tampa, Carolina, Tampa must win. That's probably the best play, Tampa over Carolina. It's only 6. And then Pitt must win against Baltimore and then hope that Buffalo loses, I believe, is the scenario. Pitt must win and hope somebody loses. So you got Pitt laying 3.5 to Baltimore. If Baltimore plays, this is the lock of life. But I don't know. You're the way you're rolling, you're going to sit your players out, and then you get a bye. So now you got 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks until you play again. The way you're playing, I don't know about that. And again, especially it's Pittsburgh. So we'll get more into that. But that's the first thing. Second thing, we got to look at injuries and the quarterbacks. And again, everything changes. Like Tyrod Taylor's playing, not Danny DeVito. Sticks it, not Herbert. Housen, not Brissett, maybe. Rudolph's going to play, not Lamar. So they have to win. Flacco against Browning, that won't change. Minnesota, it's got to be Mullins against Goff. Mullins threw for 400 yards against them. He threw 4 picks. Fields against Love. If I'm Green Bay, I'm shitting in my pants because the Bears are going to beat them. Everybody makes a big deal about Green Bay winning last night. Oh, that the guy looked good, Love looked good, da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, it's against fucking Jared Hall. I mean, they get so excited, they don't stop to realize who they beat was with all the injuries. So it's really amazing how stupid these analysts are. This Chris Collinsworth's a moron. Although so is Tony Romo and Aikman. They don't know how to analyze. They just the guy's what an athlete. Yeah, he's a football player. Yeah, I guess he's an athlete. He plays fucking football. What is that? What kind of comment is that? So we'll keep an eye on it. I think Detroit will definitely come to play if they can get the 2 seed. And then will the Rams go after them? Good luck on the Packers. Jacksonville must beat Tennessee. It's at Tennessee. Houston, Indy playoff game. Probably take the dog. Buffalo, Miami. I would have taken Buffalo as the dog, but you're making Buffalo a 3-point favorite. I don't agree with that, but I got to see the injuries. New England and the Jets. Simeon and Zappi. Seriously, over under on 30 in the NFL. You're giving me a 30 over under in the Jets New England game. Okay, the Jets have a 24 defense now, and Simeon scores a little bit more points, and New England with Zappi scores a lot more points. And they get about a 17-18 defense. So if I look at the score yesterday, the Jets lost 37-20 to Cleveland, and New England 27-21 to Buffalo. So they scored 21 on Buffalo. So Buffalo wins at home 27-21 to New England and Zappi. Now you're going to Miami, and then what? You're going to blow them out because you couldn't blow out New England? Wow. Some really bad spreads right now. New Orleans, Atlanta, probably take the dog. I don't know. New Orleans been playing well. Heineken against Carr. Philly and the Giants. Hurts against Taylor with Matt Patricia defense. This. I don't know. The Giants really didn't do bullshit against the Rams. It was a freak punt. I watched the punt return. The guy gets crushed and he stays on his feet. And it's almost like he wakes up, goes, "Oh, where am I?" And then he goes that way. And the Rams player stopped because they hit him so hard. But guess what? You got to tackle. It's not how hard you hit the guy. It's called tackling. The Rams showed me a lot of bad play yesterday. And we still won, luckily. So I don't know what the Giants, really what they can do. But they should score against Phil. Seattle, Arizona. I would say this looks like an over 28 defense, 27 defense. KC, San Diego, we got to see who's playing. LA and the Niners, we got to see who's playing. Dallas will kill Washington. 20 defense against a 34 defense. I don't think they're going to do anything against Dallas. Tampa Bay, they'll kill Carolina. They have to win. And then Baltimore. Pitt has to win, but if Baltimore plays Lamar the first half, they're not going to win. I don't know. I would not send him out. I'm so tired of, I'm scared he's going to get injured. Guys, go play golf. Go play tennis. If you want to play football, you might get injured. I made that decision in high school. I played junior high. And I'm trying out for the high school team. And then I recognize this 280-pound solid muscle offensive lineman. And I said, and then there's some guys wheeled off with a broken leg. And I kind of said, I like golf too much. I have options. I can play golf or softball. I don't need this. I was a good baseball player. All right, so that's next week's setup. We'll get more into it this week. Obviously, we've got Alabama's your free play. And Texas, Washington. Well, let's give a score for Alabama, Michigan. I think Alabama gets them 31-20. I really don't think Michigan can score too much on Alabama, and I think Alabama gets a pick six or something. So let's go 31-20 Alabama. And Texas, Washington, I'm going to go 35-31 Washington. Similar score to what they did against Texas and what Oklahoma did against Texas. So let's mark 35-31 Washington and 31-20 Alabama. Fucking Bama. And that'll lead us to Alabama, Washington. And that'll be a great game. See, Alabama can be beat by a passing team. And Texas beat them as a passing team. Washington can beat Alabama. Michigan can't. Michigan can't pass the ball. Michigan's got the weakest of all the four quarterbacks. He's worse than Milrose. So, and I don't understand who's betting Michigan lane points. Do they not see, this is where these algorithms and all this math people who invade my football fuck it up because they have no idea what they're talking about. Name one reason you would play Michigan in this game. Maybe if they're a 3-point dog, I could see it, but they didn't play anybody. They beat Ohio State, who really they lost to Missouri. Oh, okay, their quarterback didn't play. Why not? And I'm so sick. I tweeted out yesterday on Twitter. I'm Teaserking or something like that. And I basically said, this is the end of college bowls. I honestly don't see college bowls surviving. Because now it's just playoffs, but that's what the way it was in the 70s. USC, Notre Dame, Alabama, Ohio State in 68 won the Rose Bowl, won the national title. USC certainly played with O.J. Simpson and the other Alabama, Notre Dame. They all played. I don't get where they don't give a shit because they can't win the national title and they're not going to play in the bowl game. Then stop having the bowl games. So I think they need you kind of need like a basketball tournament style for football. You need, if you're going to have 40 bowls, you got to have them all mean something. Or otherwise, it's going to be the MAC and the Sun Belt, which nobody gives a shit about anyway, in the bowls. But this is ridiculous. I made two comments. I said, one, the bowls are done. Two, why isn't this a 10-team playoff? You have Georgia and Florida State sitting there. You had Oregon and Ohio State sitting there. And you had Missouri and Oklahoma sitting there. You had 10 teams that could win it all. Believe me, Georgia would have won. They would have won it all. They just had to get used to Milrose, and that was a fluke. They missed a kick, and I think there was a fumble in the game. I guarantee you that they wouldn't lose to Alabama again. So how do you have one without Oregon, without Georgia, without an undefeated Florida State team? So I don't understand Florida State either. They lose 63. Did they not even care? Did they not try? They get pissed they're not in, so they don't try to beat Georgia. I didn't understand that. Georgia looked like they came to play to say, fuck you, we should have been in it. But I don't understand with Florida State. They didn't appear to want to be there, which you'd have thought they would have said, fuck you, we should have been in the playoff, and we're going to go beat Georgia. Or Georgia's just that dominant that they just kick the shit out of them. Hard to say. But irregardless, this should have been a 10-team play. Adjust the playoff then. Don't tell me it's a contract you can't. Bullshit. Contracts get changed all the time. They could have easily have done it, and easily you got the games on TV anyway. Like today, Oregon should be a playoff game, not with Liberty, but with Ohio State. Georgia and Auburn should have been today, and then you bring in the Missouri-Oklahoma game. And you'd have had 10 strong teams that could have easily, where's Oklahoma and Oregon? How the fuck are they not there? And I'm so tired. Well, look at the Niners. They got what, 3 or 4 losses. Philly's got 5. Dallas has 5. Baltimore's got 4. Should they not be in the playoffs because they lost more than one game? That's how stupid college is. Oh, you lost. You got to go undefeated to make the playoffs. You don't have to go undefeated in the NFL and you win a Super Bowl. Just win your division. That's all this should be. They're making it far more difficult. It's absolutely ridiculous. So if they don't give a fuck about the bowls, why should we? We're only betting them, but I'm not watching them. I haven't watched any. I don't think maybe I watched one. And that's it. I mean, I didn't watch any Saturday. I think I watched something, sir. I watched a little of the Wyoming game and then turned it off. And yeah, I mean, it was nothing. There's nothing to watch. I guess I'm just like, if you don't care, then I don't care. And I've never seen that in a bowl season before. So I'll watch the Alabama game. I like to see Michigan get their ass kicked because they had this wonderful schedule of 13 high school teams, and then they beat them all. Look how good we are. Jesus. All right. So that's that. We'll get ready for the NFL playoffs. $100 for all the NFL playoffs. A couple people bought the picks for the bowls and the playoffs. Hey, G. Happy New Year. Yes, Alabama. I've given it to you 12 times already. Happy New Year. So we hit them pretty hard yesterday. Even you didn't jinx the Philadelphia over game. 12-1 this week in pros. Good week. Well, I'd like to, at halftime, I think it was 28-14. It was already over at halftime. Michigan's like 2.5 favorite now. I already bet Alabama. I got in 5 teasers, getting 7.5. I'm not going to bet another one at 8.5, but I don't need it. I got them winning the game straight out. And the other one should be high scoring, I'm thinking. I mean, people forget Washington went undefeated and beat Oregon twice, and Oregon State, and Washington State, and USC. It's hard to say they beat Utah because Utah, was so fucked up with Cam Rising. But that's what you got, a good Washington team with Penix. Washington's best runner's out, so it should be a very tight, very high scoring game, I think. And Alabama's just going to shut down Michigan's run. And it's going to be J.J. McCarthy, and he sucks. And you're all going to see he sucks. And Milrose is going to light it up, I think. See, everybody's looking at the Texas game. Well, he threw an interception on the first play. Texas went up 7-0. That's a huge difference. He threw 3 picks in the game. Then he calmed down, and then let's look at him against Georgia as a totally different quarterback. So let's look at him now against Michigan. And Michigan hasn't seen this. Ohio State's quarterback did not run. And then there's Penn State's quarterback was a freshman. And they barely beat those teams. They ran it down Penn State's throats. Good luck running it against Alabama. Nick Saban does not. He runs the 72 Steeler defense. You're not running the ball on the 72 Steeler defense. Even though Jack Ham, I thought, was going to play in the game, and Jack Lambert, but you are not running the ball on Alabama, period. You have to beat them with like Milrose. A Milrose quarterback is death to Alabama. And Michigan doesn't have that. Nor is McCarthy accurate. I think Milrose is more accurate than him. They're lucky. I don't think they can handle Washington with Penix. I think that they're going to have problems with Washington in the next game. Texas, they lost to. They'll not lose to them again. They'll use the Oklahoma playbook. Anyway, so Happy New Year. We'll do a little bit more. What was I thinking? Not much. Didn't do anything. I was going to go play poker. I didn't. I just got comfortable. I just stayed in the house. I ran out for gas. That was my New Year's Eve. Go get gas in a Slurpee. And today, well, I went to the pool already, so I was glad. I get a little stir crazy if I sit in the house all day. I get a little too stir crazy. So, like today, I was glad I went out to the pool, and I need my exercises anyway. Otherwise, gold. I don't know if gold's in play today. It might be in China, but not here. Let's see. No, gold's not in action. So it's 271, 2071. And look for Putin takes over BRICS tomorrow or today. So I asked Daria, I says, if you hear stuff on Putin and gold and BRICS, let me know. Chances are she'll hear something on it and we won't. With our news, they don't want to say anything about gold standards. So we will never know through our wonderful press, but we will know through Daria and the Russian press. So it helps to have a spy in Russia. So she'll let me know and I'll let you know. Again, people don't understand very simply inflation. You inflate the money supply. It's amazing how stupid people are and don't understand that. So in other words, if you have 500,000 in your bank and it's been there for 10 years, it's worth about 5,000. But you don't know it's worth 5,000 because you think it's still worth 500. But you can't buy what you could have is the problem, right? So what you could have bought 10 years ago with your 500 grand, and you try to buy the same goods and services now, you can't. Such as coffee, it's now like $5 a cup. It used to be 39 cents. So that's the biggest thing people don't get with inflation is what it is. It's got nothing to do with the CPI. It's got nothing to do with prices. You've inflated the money supply, making it worth less. That's why you can't keep your money in the bank, and that's why you can't keep your money in money. You cannot hold on to the dollar or the euro or the British pound. They're all going to zero because they print, but they don't tell you the value of your dollar. So you go to the grocery store and $100 buys you 4 items where it used to fill your cart. That's your money not being worth as much as it used to be until it goes zero and nobody wants it. Forced with the BRICS coming out, everybody will want the gold-backed currency because gold you can't inflate. You can't print gold, so you can't fuck the value of it up like they do with the dollar. The dollar, they fuck the value of it up because they print it. You can't keep printing the dollar and think it has no effect, but there's no scorekeeper going, oh, your $100 is only worth this. It's worth about $1. That's why I do this. So your dollar is worth about 1 cent. And if you think of it in those terms, so if you have 300 grand in the bank, you got about $3,000, even though you think you got 300,000. So when I hear these little tax planning for retirement little radio shows, I just crack up. I'm like, but how about inflation? How about when the dollar goes out? How about, gold? Why don't you mention gold at all? So they're all a bunch of Madoffs because they don't want to get out. They don't want you out of the dollar, and they want their commission, and they don't give a fuck about you. And it's really a shame that these people are so unethical and unprofessional. It really bothers me, which is why I'm here, right? So you guys really know the truth of what the hell's going on. God knows they won't teach this economics in any college. Maybe Hillsdale, but I don't know. But most of them are strictly communist, strictly Keynesians. And it's really a shame. It really bothers me, which is why I'm doing this. So keep that in mind. Go buy gold and silver. I'm curious what it'll open up at tomorrow. Being the holiday and being the new year, it could very easily open at $5,000 and blow everybody away. So that could be. I'll be surprised if it doesn't get. I don't like this revalued stuff. I don't understand that. But I'll be surprised if it opens at 2,100 and not 2,500. We will see. But this is when they would do it, right after the holiday. So keep in mind that right on a Monday is when it's going to happen, and it's going to happen soon. Then again, we don't know exactly when. I heard somebody say that they collapse when they run out of money, and I thought that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. What do you mean when they run out of money? You don't need more money. That's a communist view of it. I think it was that Bill Holder guy or one of those idiots who said this crashed and that crashed. Like Greece crashed when they ran out of money. You don't run out of money. You certainly printed enough. It's not when you run out, it's when the money runs out of value. You've printed too much, which creates the money to be worthless. That's when Greece goes out and the US goes out and all these countries go out. It's when their money becomes worthless, not when they run out of it. Why would you run out of it? How much do you need? You don't need that much, but if you ruin the value of it, then you can't buy anything with it. But it's not because you ran out of money. So this is what I hate. People will talk on these little gold things, and they really don't have a clue what they're saying. They really don't understand what they're talking about, but they make it sound like they know what they're talking about, and you believe what they say. See, whenever I say something like that, I back it up. I give you why. Inflation is you overprinted the money, which makes the money worthless, and that's why it's worth so little. So I'm explaining it. You've printed too much. You can't print that much money and it keep its value. It's going to lose its value. Well, that's exactly what we talk about. I mean, that's what I'm explaining it to you, but most people aren't. Most people don't explain it at all. They'll say the word inflation, and then they'll go off on well, the CPI is down, so therefore inflation's down. That's not how you measure it. CPI has nothing to do with inflation. It's got to do with prices, but that's got nothing to do with inflation. The market controls the prices, not inflation. It's the money is inflated. There's too much of it, and it's not worth anything. That's inflation. And you can't inflate gold, is why I tell you to buy gold, because you can never go broke. All those movies I tell you about, Attack on Wall Street and Madoff and everything, you wouldn't have gotten scammed in Madoff. You wouldn't have got attacked on Wall Street with your 60,000 real estate trust. You wouldn't have lost money in the 29 stock market crash or the 87 or 2008. You wouldn't have lost a penny if you're in gold. You can't, because you can't print it, and it always holds its value. And the fact that it's priced in dollars is the biggest joke. Why is it priced in dollars, and why is it even paper priced? So keep in mind, it's bullshit. It's priced in paper, which is not real, and that's about all you need to know. So don't get scared. Actually, you've won the game. If you've got a lot of gold or some gold, a lot of silver, you're winning. You've won. You can't lose, because they can't print it down to zero like they are the dollars. So anyway, they'll keep printing it. It'll lose its value, and then nobody wants it. 80 countries don't want it. 40 more want to join BRICS and use the BRICS dollar. And Egon's wrong in the fact that the BRICS dollar will be a separate dollar. It'll be, you want Brazilian dollars, you can have it, and then we're going to have this BRICS dollar backed by gold. So you'll have your options, sort of like Bitcoin and dollar and gold right now. You don't have to play Bitcoin, but you could. But you can play gold if you want. And the last thing you want to play is dollar. So you have the choice. So when the BRICS comes out, hopefully we'll be able to get a chance to buy the gold-backed currency and with gold at a much higher price. And that's what it's at. So keep in mind, we've been talking about marketing lately, where you're trying, now we're talking economics, you're trying to make demand. So the U.S. is backwards marketing. They're trying to keep demand for the dollar and create no demand for gold, when the normal thing is, oh, Porsche, no substitute. Buy Porsche. You can't substitute for it. You must buy it. So they're trying to make, normally marketing is about, look at my product, look at a Rolex. There's no competition. You're going to pay $50,000 for a Rolex, but nothing can compete with it. It's a Rolex. So the marketing is to buy it. And yet, what is the government doing with gold? The marketing is to not buy it, because look at the price that we're selling derivatives to keep the price down. Oh, look at the price is low. You don't want to buy that. And then all the stock guys, brokers, and financial managers who you talk to about, where do I put my money? Oh, stock market's the safest place, and bonds. And these people have no fucking idea. And then push them about gold. Well, what about gold? Well, gold doesn't do anything. It doesn't pay a dividend, and all the bullshit that to get you not to buy it. I don't care that gold doesn't give me a dividend. Gold's going to go from 2,000 to 20,000. You think I give a fuck about a dividend? And guess what? You can't inflate it. You can't print it to zero like you're doing to the dollar. So again, they don't understand inflation. They don't understand gold, or they don't want you in it, and there's no commission for it. It's sort of like almost buying, the euro or the British pound or something. Gold, it's money, but the difference is it can't be printed down. So it's like the money that was backed by gold was good money. That's why the U.S. survived from 1815 to 1913. We're on the gold standard, and we were the most productive country ever in the history of the world, and the world was the most productive world in the history of the world until 1913, when these idiots came in and did the central banks and printed the money and everything. Just understand, they can print the dollar, but they can't print gold. That includes you Canadians too. Happy New Year, Prophet. I told you I'm not breaking it open. Why would I break it open? I'm not gonna. I love that bottle. You know why? This tells me I graduated with a master's, and this tells me that I used to work there, and I love the company and the people. So no point. If I want, I'll go buy other whiskey, but I don't want to drink whiskey. So if I want to, I will. But Happy New Year. Enjoy the games if you are into the football. So I'll do another 10 minutes, and then that'll be it. And we'll get more into it tomorrow. So again, we like Alabama today, and then we started looking at next week's games. The refs are just killing football with these unbelievably bad calls. Look, even if it's a penalty, you don't get caught for speeding every time anybody goes 2 miles over the speed limit. Yeah, they're speeding, but who gives a fuck? And a lot of these penalties, they're just killing the game. Between that and the instant replay, it's just retarded. I don't know. It's very hard to watch right now. It's almost like you got to watch it with Netflix on another TV and just, okay, they're going to 10 minutes of commercials. I'm going to go watch my movie. So anyway, look for gold and silver to jump this year relatively quickly. Russia's having trouble, as is China, with their economy, and they've already planned for a gold-backed BRICS dollar. And there's no reason to stop it because they're the two powerhouses. The U.S., I don't understand all these wars they want to have. They don't have money for them. So are they trying to bankrupt their own country so we go on a CBDC, which we can't go on? Is that the game plan to force us on it? But we won't want it. If you don't want, it's like saying, well, have this steak and you don't want the steak. Then what? You going to force me to eat the steak that I don't want? I don't know. It's all pretty ridiculous. Anyway, not much else. Just football went really well. No poker. Waiting for Dari to get her passport to meet her in Turkey, probably early March. And that's about it. Yeah, I got thoughts. I gave you the thoughts already. I think 35-31, I think is the score. You're always asking for free picks, Prophet. Must be a Canadian thing. So did the other Canadian. Listen, I give free picks. And then the rest are there to buy. You could have made a fortune if you'd have bought the NFL. I went 12-1 this weekend. And my 12-1, I had teams in 3 and 4 teasers, and everything won. So it was like, I think I had Buffalo over with Kansas City under, and then I had Baltimore with Oakland under, and then I had Baltimore with Kansas City under, and Philadelphia over with Oakland under. I mean, it was just like I played so many parallel teasers, but that's my strategy with the teasers is when I find a game like Philadelphia and Oakland yesterday, I want to play them as much as possible. I don't want to play them in one teaser. I don't know if people understand when I give my picks out, I'm giving you the way I'm betting the games. And I'm not, see, the normal handicapper, he'll give you, like today, he'll give you Alabama +2. That's the pick. You pay $35. There's the pick. No explanation. You don't talk to him. You go on his site and he says, there it is, Alabama +2. Maybe he gives a score, maybe not. I don't do that. I'm actually, you're in Vegas seeing my bets is what you're doing on my site. It's very unique, but I don't try to be like the rest of them. I try to stand out apart. So you're seeing my teaser bets, and I give you 11 units or 15. A lot of it's been 17 unit lately, and it's just this is what I'm betting now. What your 17 unit is might be $200, but that's what you're doing. I don't know if there's confusion when they see Oakland under in 3 teasers, what to do. It's what I'm doing. The key is if you want to just pull it out that Oakland under is the bet with Philadelphia over. And that's your teaser if that's what you want to bet. But I played an 11-team teaser with a guy, and he emailed me. So I said, I got 11 teamer. The only loser was the fucking Niners. I weighed the Niners over 41. The kid scores the touchdown at the end. It was 3rd and goal at the 1, at the Washington 1, and they ran it twice, didn't get it. If that goes in, we win $1,800 on an 11-team teaser. And I get 20%. It's mine. So unfortunately, but it was love the picks. This week might be a little harder figuring out what Frisco and Baltimore are going to do. What's KC going to do? Are they going to play Mahomes or not? So that's kind of where it's at. So keep your eye. You've got to understand who you're trusting when it comes to economics or football or anything. Well, let's just say on advice. And so you really want to know who you're listening to. Or if it's or for dating, if it's a girl, let's say you're dating a girl, can you trust her? Can you trust people at poker? Can you trust people who give you financial advice? So you go to your broker about what do I do with my, I got 100 grand. What do I do with it? He's going to have you be in things that make him the most money, not to make you the most money. Go buy stocks, buy real estate trust, maybe an annuity, like the guy at my bank. Oh, I can put you in a 9% annuity. Yeah, but the problem is you still got me in money, and I don't want to be in paper because the paper will go to zero. So you got to get the concept. And then you really don't need to trust anybody. You just understand what I'm teaching you and you go, oh, all we really need is gold. I'll go out and buy gold. I don't need a financial planner or retirement planning. Do you understand if you have gold, you don't need retirement planning? That's your retirement. That's your, when you die, the life insurance. I got gold. So you don't need anything but the gold will cover all that because the value will jump through the roof. Can she trust you? Well, she's playing the same game as you are. So you look, can I trust her? And she's looking, can I trust you? So that's the same question asked a different way. Daria trusts me, and can I trust her? Well, I think so. We'll find out. But that's where we're at. We gotta figure that out. But I don't know if you ever try, even if you're married. I was married 17 years. Could I trust my wife? Maybe. I don't think she cheated on me, but I didn't like the way she was treating me, let's say. So it's not a trust factor. It's just I didn't like that. But anyway, that's what life's about, is just kind of learning. Keeping a lot in is probably better because then you don't say stuff that you regret later, or that now she knows about me, or that, or whatever, or in a financial, even in an interview or at a job, you got to be careful at a job what you say. Again, job interviews are just, you tell them what they want. Oh, you want to hire a senior financial analyst? I can do this, that, and the other. If you want me, fine. If you don't want me, it's your loss, not mine, because I'll find somebody. Anyway, so we're actually in 2024. I can't believe it. January 1st. So this is crazy. But anyway, keep in mind, so Russia takes BRICS. They will come out with the gold-backed currency sooner than later. And it's needed because all the currencies are going out. It's just a matter of time. Somebody's going to need a gold-backed currency. So keep that in mind, that the need for one is close. The U.S. wants to control it, but it's getting out of the U.S.'s hands, right? We're number one, but Russia and China has all the gold, and now they're number one. So it's just a matter. They're just trying to let the U.S. fall apart. Like China could do the gold standard, but they don't want to get, nuked for coming out with the gold-backed currency. So they're letting the U.S. fall apart. That's what's taking so long, is and then they're going to introduce a gold-backed currency, but not to hurt the U.S., just to come out with their own currency to compete. And we all know that the dollar can't compete with gold. That's not going to happen. Hey, nothing for something. I got to think of a name for you. Gandalf had a lot of gold too. Who the hell is Gandalf? You mean Gandalf, the gray or the white? Gaddafi. Well, Gaddafi, if I'm reading that right, he got killed because he wanted to come out with a gold standard, and the U.S. didn't like that because the dollar can't compete with gold. But they're not going to compete with the Russias and the Chinas. That's what this war with Russia is about right now. Between the U.S. and Russia is about the gold standard, and Putin said, "Fuck you." And the U.S. ran away. So Russia will come out with a gold standard. They're not going to kill him. They've had their opportunity and couldn't win. Russia killed the U.S. in this war. I mean, it wasn't close. Yeah, I know what you want, but so did Saddam Hussein. They understood that gold was the answer, right? Out of the U.S. They didn't want to be in the U.S. dollar, and they didn't want to get dollars for oil because they realized the dollars were worthless. So that's what they did. But the U.S. killed them because they didn't want a gold standard, because they're running the biggest Ponzi scheme that's going on with the dollars. It's all just being printed, a lot of derivatives, a lot of paper shit that's worthless. And that's the problem. So you have all that. And a guy with Gaddafi or Saddam Hussein were too small to handle it. But that was their idea. Zimbabwe's actually come out with gold coins because their inflation's like 50,000%. People can't afford to eat there, but then they're selling gold ounces. But we sell gold too. That's where I get mine. I either buy U.S. or Canadian Maple Leafs or Cougarans or Philharmonics. That's what I buy, all government gold that I know is gold. I mean, if I can spend $2,000, I want to make sure it's real. But I go to the coin store and I'm sure it's real there. But the U.S. is blowing itself up very nicely with all these stupid wars, and Biden with all the hyperinflation that he's doing. We're in a recession now. It's really bad. They can say whatever they want. Oh, look at inflation's at 1% and unemployment's 0. Everybody's working. They can say what they want, but the reality is inflation's 20%. We're in a big recession, depression, and the dollar's collapsed. The dollar's worthless. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, like I said, if you had $200,000, $300,000 in your bank a couple years ago, it's worth nothing. It's worth let's say you had 300,000 10 years ago, or as you're making your 401ks. So you think you have 300K in the bank, but it's really only worth maybe, let's say 10 grand is all it's worth, because it's what it will buy you. It won't buy anything, right? Everything's more expensive. No, everything's not more expensive. The dollar's worthless. I was talking about that yesterday. Anyway, they were saying how, the price of everything has gone up. And it's like, no, the price of everything has not gone up. The dollar has lost its value. So if it took $2 to buy a Coke, it now takes $3 to buy a Coke. Coke didn't raise their prices. The dollar went down in value. So now you need $3. And they were talking about these greedy companies raising their prices, taking advantage. And you're like, no, they can't do that, because we are the market and we can say, I don't want Coke, I'll buy Pepsi. Or I don't want Pepsi, I'll buy Fresca. Or you know what? I'll have water with cinnamon and lemon in it. I don't need any of that. So that's the point. We can do substitution and substitute out of one into the other. So it keeps them from just making their price. Well, why are the prices set in the beginning? The price is set in the beginning because that's what people have agreed that they'll pay for the item. And if it's too high, they won't buy it. And if they won't buy it, they can't sell it. They can't be in business. So we make them lower their price because we say we're not going to buy it. And they're saying, oh, well, let's see, we better put it on sale. So go to the grocery store and there's Coke $2.89 a 2-liter. And then, oh, yeah, but if you buy one, you get one and half off. Or you buy two, you get the third one free. That's because it's too expensive and nobody is going to pay $2.89 for a 2-liter. But a lot of that is because of the inflation. The dollar isn't worth as much. But just because of that, you can't just raise your prices because the dollar isn't worth much. Because we're all programmed in, as I say with the ribs, if the ribs are 25 a slab, I ain't paying 45 a slab, even if I know the dollar's been inflated. I am not going to go and spend $45 on a slab of ribs because I'm programmed it's 25. That's what you're charging me. You can't charge me 35. So that's what really keeps inflation in check from a price standpoint, but not the money standpoint. So realize it's the value of the money dropping, which so it takes, I don't know, let's say New York strip is $15. Well, it really didn't go up in value. Just the dollar went down. So it takes $15 to buy the New York strip where it used to take $7. Let's call it like that. So it used to be $7 for a pound. Now it's 15. It's not them raising the price. It's the dollar dropping. And I'll keep playing that song to you. Well, no, they're greedy. They raised their price. They raised their no. The dollar went down. But since nobody tracks it, nobody can say it, right? So they can't say the dollar lost value, even though we know that's the case. How do you prove it? You can't, because you can't even prove it by prices, because the only way I can figure out how to do it is go buy a car or a house and realize the interest rates are like 9 or 10%. And they can't, so now at the Toyota, I spent $470 on my 2018 Camry, and it's now $1,000 for the 2023 Camry, 2024 Camry. So now it's $1,000 a month to buy the car as opposed to $400. That's probably the best way to measure inflation. But it's not something you can really measure. Normally it would be gold. If you let go to a free market, gold would now be 30,000 an ounce, and you go, well, let's see, gold was 2,000, now it's 30,000. Look at the inflation. But since they keep the price down, so I think there's more than one reason. One is you can't measure inflation. The other is, so by keeping gold down, you'll stay in money. Well, I'm comfortable in stocks. It's safe. It's not safe, but you think it is. So, it's Microsoft. Nothing can happen to Microsoft. Really? Okay. Good luck with that one. So that's the problem. So it's a lot of people are comfortable. They're comfortably numb, basically, like that song. They don't know the difference. They don't understand it. They don't get that all the printing of the money makes it worthless. That's the first and foremost. They don't know to get out of the money. They stay in the money thinking, well, I got 300 grand in the bank, I can retire. That's what they think. What I did is I took my money out and bought gold. I don't have anything in the bank. It's all in gold and silver because I understand it's worthless. So I could have a couple $100 grand in the bank. It'd be worth zero. This way it's gold and silver. It's I know it's 2,000 an ounce, but I know it's not worth it. I know it's worth, if the dollar's dropping, gold has to be going up, right? So I know gold's at least 20,000 an ounce. That's my take on it. And no, but once people realize that's what's happening, it's going to go much higher. And we got to get the government out of this pricing of it and neutral marketing it. I've never seen anybody, I'm marketing, buy Canadian Club 12-year. Oh, it's great. And you go buy it. Not, don't buy gold. It won't go up in value. Keep in dollars. That's where you want to be, is in dollars. Because gold, it won't go anywhere. Yeah, but you can't inflate gold. You can't print it. So where's it going? How can it go down? Well, that's a good question. Yeah, and there's no dividends in gold. You can't get dividend. You get dividends in dollars? No. So that they'll try to negative market you into believing that gold is worthless. Yeah, it's the only thing with value. It's the only money you can be safe and secure and can't lose is gold and silver. How they can't print it. There's no way it can lose its value because they can't print it. The only way anything loses value if there's no demand, but every central bank in the world's buying it, including Putin and Xi in China. So if everybody's buying gold and there's huge demand, why isn't the price higher? And the inflation, so the value of the dollar's dropped to nothing. Why isn't gold higher? Oh, because they're fucking around and Madoffing it, and they won't be able to keep going because these countries are going to need gold to survive, i.e., Russia, China. And when that happens, the value of gold goes through the roof, and it can never go to zero because they can't print it. It's sort of like this Mahomes card. Can this card ever go to zero? Well, not Mahomes. It's only 50 of them. How can this card go to zero? It's impossible. Mahomes won 2 Super Bowls. He's got value now. That's what I warn you about with the Joe Burrow card or some of these other, or Lamar hasn't won a Super Bowl. And if he doesn't, it won't. But this guy's won 2. The value's there. It'll never go to, this card can never go to zero, A, because there's 50, and B, more importantly, because it's Mahomes. Right? So this is like gold. It can never go to zero because there'll always be demand and it'll only be 50. And same thing with gold. You cannot print gold. So it's very limited supply of gold. So when the demand comes, once people realize they're fucked in dollars and the value of their dollars dropping, not prices going up, but the value of the money going down. So now since the values went down, where what would take me $5 to buy now takes me 10. Did the price go up? No, I just need $10 to buy what I used to for $5. So get out. Don't leave your 300 grand in the bank thinking, oh, I'm safe. It's not worth 300 grand. It's worth maybe 10 grand, 20 grand at most. Now, by the end of the year, it won't be worth anything. As soon as people don't want the money, as soon as the rest of the world says no, and people wake up here and say, no, I need gold and silver, as soon as that happens, and it's taking time, but happening. I was reading something like the states are trying to come out to accept gold as money. Must have caught this in the pool. So they are, like Texas wants to accept, you can buy gold. You can buy your groceries with gold and silver. Well, that doesn't mean anything. That's not the gold standard. That's what they need. But at least they're recognizing gold. But I would never spend it at these prices. Don't spend it at $2,000. I walk into my gold store and there's people, where you get the gold? Well, people are coming in selling it. I'm like, oh no. They're gonna commit suicide when it goes up to 20,000 an ounce and they sold it for $2,000. They're not going to be happy campers, I'll tell you that. But because they've been blindsided and made off, they don't think the price will ever go up. But once JP Morgan's done fucking around trying to keep the price down with these derivatives, and he won't be able to too much longer because of Russia and China. Once that happens, then it really jumps, and that's what we're waiting for. So it's going to happen. Yeah, Prophet, you gotta pay attention when I'm teaching. Yeah, silver is all precious metal. It's also money, and it'll go up with gold. We discussed that many times. But that's why you don't really want to get into. That's why you don't want to get into these other, like the question came up about buying platinum, palladium, uranium, and it's like those aren't precious metals. They're not money. They are minerals or whatever, but it's not the same. Gold is money. That's why we are interested in it. More so than the Mahomes card or the Tom Brady card, because you still have to turn it into gold, but gold's the final product. If I have gold, I don't need to turn it into anything. I could sell it for money if I needed paper, but eventually I won't need anything. I'll have gold, and that's what I'll use to buy my house with. I love how they're calling it barter. Well, if you're calling it barter, then isn't this barter? Is this barter because it's a bill? It's a five-euro bill. Is this barter? Yes. I mean, theoretically, if you're calling gold barter, then you're calling this barter. Barter is just simply exchanging, and it'd be like taking this and saying, I want 4 tires. And the guy says, oh, it's Canadian Club 12-year. Yeah, I'll take it for the 4 tires. It's a trade. But that's what you're going to do with gold. You're going to say, I want your house. Here's 2 ounces of gold, and you buy the house. Basically, that's what it is. I'm not quite sure you call it barter. It is barter as much as is there really anything that is barter? It's more or less you're trading an asset for an asset. I have a $40,000 Rolex. I want to sell it for that $70,000 Mercedes. Yeah, okay, fine. I'd rather have the Rolex. But keep in mind, Rolex is not money. It's an asset. The Mahomes card's an asset. And so is Bitcoin more considered. It's an unreachable, touchable asset. So in other words, this is an asset, but I can hold it, right? This is worth $100, but I can hold it. And my Mahomes card, it's an asset, means it's worth something. I can hold it. The problem with Bitcoin is you can't hold it. So it's an asset that's digital that I can't hold. And that's what turns me off and should turn you off is what if it's all of a sudden it's worthless? See, you can't take this away from me any more than you can take my gold and silver away from me. You can't take it. I have it in my hand. You can never say it's worthless, and you can never take it. You can never call me up attacking Wall Street and say, oh yeah, how much is in my account? Nothing. You have nothing in your. I had 60 grand. Yeah, but now you have nothing because we fucked up and people weren't paying our mortgages. So we decided to sell those rich that you were using. So since we can't take the loss, you're taking the loss for us. So your 60 grand is nothing, but you had nothing to hold on to. They can never tell that to me with my gold, that it's worthless. That can never happen because there's always demand. I suppose the worst case they can say, well, you can't sell it here. Well, I'll just go to Switzerland and sell it, or go to a different country to sell it if it came to that. But I don't see that happening because I can go to my gold store and he'll buy it. I could drive there at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning and sell it at 10:01, have the cash for it. So he's going to take it because these stores are there to sell it. And as long as the store's there to sell it, he'll buy it from you. You don't have to worry about it. That's really the easy out. Well, you don't really have much time profit. It's been undervalued for 3 years since I've been teaching. So you're luckily that the COMEX is keeping it priced down for you, but it's worth a lot more than 25 an ounce. So you're lucky you can get it there. Well, that's the problem. They're digital and you can't hold it in your hand. See, I mean, look at Madoff, same thing. Any of these, The Big Short, all that shit. You're totally blown away because the banks are controlling it and they don't want to lose. And all of a sudden, all the paper's worthless. But you can't. That's the beauty of gold. Everybody should own gold, and everybody shouldn't be in anything but gold. I am 99% in gold and 1% in some money, and that doesn't count my baseball and football cards, which are totally over here. They're more assets. They're not even investment. They're just assets. But all my money's in gold because it's the surest. It's the lock, right? It's like Philadelphia over yesterday. It was a lock. It was in 5 teasers. And basically, that's the same thing you have here. You can't lose with gold, and no matter what, they can't take it from you, and it can't lose value because there's so much demand by central banks because they know that they can't lose value on it. That's the beauty of it. There's as long as there's demand, there's a market. And as long as you can't print it, you can't inflate it, the price wouldn't go down. So if I have it in my hands, if I got 10 ounces in my hands, you can't take it from me and you can't say it's worth zero. Right now it'd be worth 20,000. Soon it'll be worth 2 million. It goes up to 20,000. Now you got 10 times 20 is what, $2 million. So you're able to buy something for 2,000 that's going to turn into 50,000, 100,000 without a problem. And it can never go to zero. So what we face is the negative of it doesn't get dividends, and it doesn't really go up much. Well, it doesn't go up much because people are fucking with it and they're price fixing it. But that's all done. Russia and China have 100,000 tons of gold. Why? If it's such a bad thing, why do they have 100,000? And they need the price to go up because they're going to come out with gold-backed currency. They can't do it at 2,000 an ounce. They need it at 20,000 an ounce or somewhere like around there. So that's where it's headed, and there's nothing COMEX is going to be able to do about it. The U.S. dollar keeps getting printed, and this $35 trillion debt keeps getting printed. That's more and more and more inflation. It's never stopping, and it's not like it can keep going. You can't just keep printing and printing and printing like it'll have no effect. Like I say, like eating chocolate cake every day. You can't eat it every day and not expect to gain weight. It's just not going to happen. And that's what inflation, if they keep printing it, it's going to blow it up. So that's what they keep doing, and that's what we see, and we know the answer, and all we do is just buy more and more and more. Whatever we can buy now, we buy before the price goes up and before it runs out. There isn't that much gold conceivably to what everybody's buying because the bank's buying tons. They're not buying. I go and buy 2 ounces or a couple of half ounces. I mean, I've already bought a lot, but that's all I have left, right? And then but the central banks buy tons, right? Austria buys 100 tons of it. So they're not. So they're buying a lot when they buy versus us buying an ounce or two. I saw this financial expert. Be careful with that word around me. Who claims the only assets you really have are those you have with you. He suggests not keeping any money or other variables in the bank. Well, I know I'm one financial professor who says I wouldn't keep any money in the bank or in paper. That's the Titanic. So you don't keep money in the on the boat. So get off the boat, and that's what the boat is. The boats, the banks, the money, the stocks, the bonds, CDs, money markets. That's all the Titanic. So don't you listen to this financial expert. You're listening to others, but I don't need the pat on the back. I'm telling you because I know exactly what's happening and what will happen. And I said, take all your money out of the bank. So, I'm already, you don't listen to the what I say, apparently, because I'm telling you that for 2 years now. But you can't leave any money in the bank because it won't. Like that's what I keep saying. It's you got 300,000 in the bank's not worth 300,000 anymore. It's worth about 3,000. And stocks and bonds are all going to crash. House is going to crash. They're all crashing because of the foreigners taking their money out because they don't want to leave it in U.S. dollars. And the more you have wars, and the more you print for the the more you print for the debt, the $35 trillion, the less it's worth. You can't just print without repercussions. That's the biggest problem. So keep that in mind. You can't print gold. It's as simple as it gets. Don't worry about dividends. Don't worry about the COMEX price. Just buy as many ounces as you can, and then you can't be made off. So when everybody goes, oh shit, the government didn't tell me my 300,000 was worthless, we can sit there and all of us can say, well, yeah, that's exactly what we said, is it would be worthless. How much, go buy gold. We told you that for 3 years now. Go buy gold. Gold's the key. Gold will help you. Gold is can't go to zero. It's going to go to the moon. So what else can you get in that you can't lose, and the value is going to go up 100 times? There's nothing else. I mean, maybe, I don't know, maybe Baltimore Ravens winning the Super Bowl, or the Niners winning the Super Bowl, something like that. But that's where we're at. So this is all happening this year. The dollar going out and gold going up. Don't ask me for a time because I'm waiting. It's like when the Titanic sank. When's it sinking? Bobby and Luke would be, when's it sinking? And I'd be going, I don't know. Let's just get the fuck off the boat, get onto the lifeboat, and we'll watch it sink. When it starts sinking, we'll know. I mean, that's kind of what you guys are doing. When? Like, we don't know. When BRICS has the gold back currency and the Russians, and they start with the gold and they start moving the gold up, that's when. That's coming very, very soon. No, there's no country on the gold. That's the problem. Whatchamacallit, George Soros fixed all the elections, so all his guys got in, and they're all communists and Keynesians, and they don't believe in gold. They all believe in printing the money, which is why we're in the situation we're in. Is there's no country. They're all on fiat paper gold that we print to death. So every country's going bankrupt. So this was Soros's plan, and I don't know what his end game was. Okay, they're all running out of dollars. Now what? Okay, Mr. Hitler, what's your plan now? But Russia and BRICS are headed there, and China. They're all headed to the gold standard. But yeah, Gaddafi and Saddam Hussein had a lot of gold, which is why they got killed. Not because they had a lot, but they wanted to go on the gold standard because they didn't want to deal with the U.S. anymore. And that's the problem. This is why nobody wants to be with the U.S. They're a bunch of murderers, basically. I'm not proud of the country I live into. This country's very corrupt, extremely corrupt. Now, where Mark McGuire and his team fight it, and I'm a whistleblower, and I'm this and that, that's just noise to me. Stoic's the way to go. You ignore all that. You basically, stoic is, what can I do? And I can't. If they want to go fuck around and JP Morgan prints, there's nothing I can do. And I can't whistleblow the mafia. That's like the Madoff case when that idiot kept going to the SEC going, hey, here, look, they can't go 100%. And he went back to the SEC 5 times. The reason they didn't kill him is because the judges were in their pockets. So there's nothing that SEC, nope, we can't find anything, and don't worry, we won't convict you. Nothing can happen. And that's why he never got caught, and he wasn't going to get caught. He was never going to get prosecuted. They would just say everything's fine. And everybody would have made a fortune if they didn't have the 2008 where everybody was pulling their money. If it was just a normal year, it'd still be going on today. And nobody would care because they keep getting their 15%. And as long as they keep getting 15%, nobody gives a shit where. Like I said, I'm not even sure what's wrong with I don't get what's illegal about a Ponzi scheme. Because if you think about it, if if Profit's running one and I give Profit 50 grand, he starts paying me 10% a month, and Bobby comes in to give him money to pay me, and Luke comes in and then he takes his money for Bobby. As long as he keeps getting money in, what do I care? As long as I keep getting my 10, 15% every month, I don't care. It's a Ponzi scheme. I don't care if he invests or not, as long as I get my money in, which is what a bank does anyway. How does the bank get the money to give you interest? They fucking print it. It's not, they're not investing it because they can't, because of the bonds. They're certainly not in the stock market. So the banks are just printing money and giving you your interest, which is far worse of a Ponzi scheme. Because in Madoff's world, he doesn't hurt the money. In the world we're in, the banks print the money, which devalues the money, and the money is worth less. That's the difference. I'd rather be in the Ponzi scheme of Madoff than the Ponzi scheme at J.P. Morgan. But I have to keep getting new investors to pay. Well, that's what the banks do now, don't they? You got your money in the bank. They're giving you so many a percent. Yeah, but it's the same thing. So how does the government pay off their people? They print money. So the difference is Madoff needed to get new investors in, all these European guys. But what does JP Morgan do? What does Wells Fargo do? They have to get new customers buying mortgages or renting cars. And if they can't, guess what? They print the money, and then they give you your interest. How do I get Social Security? Well, it ain't from the fucking work. They print the money. The money's come out of thin air. It's the biggest Ponzi scheme there is, Social Security. I paid in a lot more than $2,400 a month, but that's what I get. Okay, I can pay my mortgage or my rent. I can pay my electricity and my food. That's fine with me. I don't need much else because I got gold. So I'm not going to lose. When everybody loses and starts going crazy, we'll all be sitting there, being quiet like church mouses. Shh, we got gold. Shh, don't tell anybody. So I told you my story at the grocery store. So this is really a prelude where some guy, I'm just getting popcorn for the holidays, instead of chips or something. And I'm not really, I'm seeing where they are. The popcorn's right up there, and I got my cart, and some guy's standing there right in front of it. And I come right up to him and I go, "Oh, excuse me, I need to get some popcorn." He goes, "Why are you so close to my kids?" And he starts swearing at me. And I looked at him and started laughing my ass off, like, you're on drugs? You better go see somebody for your condition, buddy. So I just look like I'm going to what? Beat your kids up, kidnap them, kill them? What is it that you see in me that you're in danger, that the kids are in danger? What do you see? What are you, out of your mind? And then he's saying, "Fuck you, fuck this." And I'm looking at this guy like, this guy he's on some heavy drugs or something, swearing and keep saying, "Why are you so close to my kids? Why are you so close to my kids?" I really don't even know you have kids in your cart, because I really am not looking at your cart. I'm looking at the shelves of the grocery store, going, "Where's the popcorn? Where's their Orville Redenbacher?" That's what I'm looking at. So when I get close to you, your cart's blocking me from getting it. Get the fuck out of the way. Why are you close to me? Oh, you got kids in your cart? What, are you buying the kids? I mean, why would you have kids in your cart? So basically, and then he's swearing, and but I was stoic. I just grabbed my popcorn and walked to the end of the aisle and went into the produce section to buy my produce. And I'm like, but see, I didn't pick a fight with them, but I didn't back down. I won't back down, but I didn't pick a fight with him. I just thought he was out of his mind. But when the money starts going away, what's going to happen? There's going to be a lot of he looks like he has money, and then there'll be a lot of thieves. It's sort of like the Batman movie, the new one I'm watching, where all of Gotham's corrupt for a change, and a lot of murders, and So you go from there. But I like that Schmiegel's Alfred. He's a good Alfred, although he doesn't talk Schmiegel and Gollum. It's a little disappointing. I wanted him to say precious a few times or something. So in the new Batman movie, Gollum plays the butler. And it's pretty good. It's pretty dark and a lot of the dark music. I like the Catwoman. She's good in it. And the Riddler, I thought they could have had a better kid, but because he's in these movies where it's like, okay, this guy is not a criminal. But it's the same thing. It's a lot of crime. It's a poor city. It's controlled by Falcone, the mafia. And I'm thinking, man, that's exactly what's happening now. Anyway, if you keep the gold on you, they can't take it from you. You'll never turn it in because you're not going to say you have it. You're going to be shushed. You got to be stoic now. You got to run and buy it before it's not there to buy, and you want it at these prices. This is like the biggest miracle, bigger than the 69 Mets miracle, that you can buy silver for 25 an ounce and gold for 2,000. This is like a miracle that you can trade in your worthless money. So you got $100,000, you can trade it in for gold. It's a miracle. It's a Christmas miracle. Just keep it, put it in the safe, shut the fuck up about it, and nobody can take it, and it'll never go to zero. It's impossible because of what a market is. A market is supply and demand. As long as there's demand for gold, it has a price. I'll sell it to you for $2,000. Oh, I'll buy it. I mean, go to the coin store. Go on eBay. Go on SD Bullion or any of these. And it's like they can't keep them in stock. That's demand. So why would they lower their price? Now, it should be supply and demand to get the higher price. So in other words, if enough people want it, the price should go up to $2,500 to $5,000 to $10,000. That's what we're looking for, is a free market. But as long as there's COMEX, they keep, we're going to judge it on the COMEX price. Why the fuck are we looking at that? What does that have to do with the physical price? So that's the problem with it now. So we're waiting for that to die, which it's almost dying. And they won't. If once Russia and China have the gold-backed currency and need a higher price, COMEX will have to go along with it. Because they'll just buy it for $2,000 and sell it for $50,000. If you're going to keep selling it for $2,000, we're up to $50,000 now. So, things take a little bit of time, but the plan is the boat hit the iceberg, it's going to sink. There's no question about it. And we know as the boat sinks, gold goes up. So we know the boat sinks and it goes to the ocean. You need a lifeboat. And that's what we're seeing in the money. We know it's worthless. We know it's sinking, and we know the out is the lifeboat of gold. We know that. And as long as we know that, then we just wait for it. And that's it. I mean, that's the key to it. But you got to kind of be deaf to everything, because they're all going to tell you to stay in the dollars, in the stock market. Oh, it's not go. Look, it's a dip. It's going to go up. And they promise you this shit, but they don't give you the explanation. I can tell you gold's going up because it's physical gold, not paper. The derivatives are keeping the price down. Oh, okay, that's why gold's low, but it's going to jump up. Well, why are a stock market it's a dip. Why is it dipping? Yeah, because everybody's getting the fuck out of it. Yeah, and then it's going to go jump back up. They want you in it. So that's really what you're looking at, is these people will say it because they're basically Joseph Goebbels and the Nazis. So they're trying to do the same thing. They're trying to say, oh, gold's got no value. Look at silver. It's 25 an ounce. Maybe it goes to 50. And, when it hits 1,000 an ounce, then what are you going to do? So you'll buy silver because you won't be able to afford gold. And there's more gold. There's more silver than gold, but not by a lot. A couple 100,000 tons of it. And that's what you need to understand. Profit, man, you gotta start paying attention in class. I'm gonna have to put you in the timeout chair. Like, Do you not listen to what I say? This is getting frustrating. I don't have a price. I just said, what did I just say? I think it'll be $50,000. So why are you asking me? I just said that's what it's going to be. In the near future, I don't know. I keep saying that too. You guys are killing me. We don't know. There's no time. This is not a football game. We don't know. I can tell you Alabama plays Michigan at 5 o'clock. The game will be over by 8:30. And there will be a winner. And there will be a score. And that's all I can tell you. I cannot tell you exactly when. I can't tell you near future, and it shouldn't be a question. Is there enough that you can buy it? Is it 25 times? Maybe it's 10 times. Maybe it's 50 times. I don't know. I don't have that answer. That's not an answer you can have. I can tell you it's going to go up, and I can tell you soon. Could be 3 months, could be 6 months. I mean, I don't know. But don't suggest that, it's going to go up 25 times in 2 weeks. That's not a good question to ask. That's you're not listening. So please, listen to what I'm teaching. I'm here to teach. So if you're in class and you keep asking me what's inflation and what's gold, then that's not good. That's not a good way to go through class. And I will stop answering those questions soon, because I talk about it every day, and I answer that question every day. So it's going to go up based on demand. It's going to go up based on the supply breaking out with COMEX. Get rid of the paper gold into physical. That's why it'll go up. And whenever that happens, it happens. Should be soon, but who knows? It might take 6 months. It might take a year. It will happen soon, but I don't know what soon means. I'm not saying near future, and I'm not saying 25 times. Could be 10, it could be 50, could be 1,000. When the people realized the boat was sinking, everybody was running to the lifeboats on the Titanic. And that's when everybody realizes the dollar. All I can do is set the table. The dollar's going out. People don't realize that. So they're not in gold. They think they're safe with the money in the bank or in their Microsoft. And they don't see the problem with it. And once they start realizing that the money isn't worth what they think it is, 300 grand is not worth 300 grand, then they realize they can still buy gold with the 300 grand. That's when the price goes up. And when's that going to happen? I don't know. You're finding that out now. I've known it for years. And that's the kick. I mean, why are you in stocks? Because you want to make money. But why do you want to make money if it's this bullshit? Do you want to make this? Do you want to make something that's worthless? Oh, so I can make $1,000, but it's still worthless. That's the point I'm trying to make to you. I don't know if you're getting that, but that's the point. Do you really want to make this? You don't. You want to be out of this. You want to be out of this into gold. So you want to be sitting there with 100 ounces of gold just sitting there and just going, I'll wait till the price goes up. It'll be soon. I don't know exactly when, and maybe not 25 at once. But once it starts to go, it'll be like a dam. It'll be a flood, and that'll be it. And that's going to be soon once the BRICS people start printing their gold. And they'll need a higher price, because right now it's being held down artificially by COMEX because they want you in the dollar, because they won't tell you you're being made off. I'm telling you you're being made off. Now you can decide what to do with that information. The only difference is mine's real and truthful and theirs isn't. That's the only difference. Anyway, I think I'm getting a little bit tired. We got some ball games to watch soon. Go Bama. I got them 31-20 Bama, and then 34-31 I think Washington over Texas. So have a nice New Year's. I will see you tomorrow about this time, and we will get a little bit. We'll talk about the these two games. The other games we can't even talk about because it's so stupid. Even Sunday's stupid. Is Mahomes playing? Is when we know Dallas and Philly have to play, and Detroit, is Frisco playing? Is Baltimore playing? It's just like the ball games. Who's playing? Are they getting ready for the NFL draft too? Is Lamar getting ready for it? I mean, that's the problem with it. So we'll talk about that. A little more economics. We'll see what gold does. And happy 2024. Here we go. All right. Have a good day, everybody. www.teaserking.com. $100 buys you, well, it was buying you all the playoff games and all the bowls. Now it's just going to be all the NFL next week and all the playoffs through the Super Bowl and the college playoff. It'll give you Alabama-Washington winner and everything like that. All right. Thank you, Prophet. Happy New Year's, everybody. Go enjoy, relax, stay safe. Don't drink too much. Too many bad drivers out there already. All right. Take care. Happy New Year.